This is episode number 475 of WPwatercooler, The Great Escape, WordPress Data Liberation Project. I'm Jason Tucker. Go to my website at jasontucker.blog. You can find all the links to me over there.
Stave Reed is on assignment. And holy calamity, scream insanity, all you other wannabes, another great fan of me. Break.
Go and take a look at wherever it is you can find awesome podcasts, right, Cosper? Awesome podcasts. And you can go and check out our Discord. As I'm saying that, I'm remembering what you sent me. I was like, screw it. Who cares?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, podcasts. Fun stuff. It's Friday.
It's
We're
Friday.
pushing the record button.
We're down a Save Reed, but that's okay. Hope everything's going all right for her. She's just needed a day to refresh, and we're going to be talking about the Data Liberation Project in WordPress today.
Yeah.
So I know that this is something that I propose, so I guess I'll just kind of take it all and
please do.
Yeah. So this is kind of a thing that was sort of surprised announced during State of the Word around data liberation, and kind of freeing content from other CMSs, helping bring it into WordPress. Historically, WordPress has had a number of importers available that help people pull content in from other software like Blogger, from other WordPress sites, etc. And one of the things that our benevolent dictator handed down from the mountain said, hey, let's start bringing in content from other content management systems. Let's try to make the data portable for everybody. And while I think that this is a good thing, while I think that this is definitely something that that we need as a project to kind of help the project continue to grow, and it's funny to say to help the project continue to grow, since we're at what, like 46-ish% of the web. Like,
Yeah.
how much more market share do we need to help things grow? Like, I think we're doing okay. But data portability is a good thing. Not only moving stuff in from the likes of Wix and Squarespace and all these other builders, but being able to move stuff out. I know, Tucker, you kind of got just a little itch and wanted to try something new. You've been working on micro.blog lately, and seem to be fairly active on that and playing around with that. Did you import your content in from WordPress into micro.blog, or?
I did. And I think things would have went really well if I never touched blocks.
Oh, okay.
Because the second you start going like, oh, I'm going to make columns and I'm going to make this and I'm going to get all fancy with all my stuff. All that fancy is just a bunch of comments inside the blog post, and sans fancy. It is the most boringest blog post ever when it gets moved to someplace else that doesn't support blocks. Sure. And it works fine. I just got a whole bunch of like markup that's sitting in there that isn't needed. But I also have blog posts from 100 years ago that have short codes all over it, and I just have naked short codes, throughout the entire thing as well. So I think just, the evolution of using WordPress and going from one technology type to another, you tend to, come up with all that extra cruft that you're going to have to deal with when you move from place to place, especially when those objects are represented by a short code.
Yes.
And inside there is a whole bunch of like very smart data that did not make its way over.
Right. And that is kind of one of the big things that I think is an argument for being able to like this data liberation. Sure, should we be liberating data from Drupal and Blogger and Tumblr and Squarespace and Wix? Like, yes, absolutely. Like, one would argue that Drupal, that's an open platform. Like, putting your stuff in Drupal is not the same as sticking your site into Squarespace or Wix or even Tumblr, something that is pretty locked down and obscured behind the scenes. Like,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, um, now correct me if I'm wrong. Micro.blog is what, Hugo?
Hugo, yeah, it's
Uh,
Hugo with a lot of front end or interface customization that was kind of built to do stuff. So, for instance, when you do that import, you're importing like it goes and reads all the HTML to pull in all the images, and
mhm.
so it will then source those images from your website and pull them into it, which means you have to kind of think about things a little bit before you start doing this stuff. And then because of the fact that some of these images may be figures, some of them may be IMG tags, some of them may be who knows what,
Yeah,
and you're just going to have to go back and clean stuff up, or you do that before you move it. So there's a bit of a sanity check that you got to do there, and maybe even some kind of cleanup to kind of make it all happen. And I've read some folks, that were saying, oh, you can do it this way. You could, they're all coming up with their own solutions for things. But me being the lazy person that I am, I just pushed the button and closed my eyes and said, do I really care about the previous post? Whatever. The words made it over. Maybe the images made it over or not. You have like image source sets and all sorts of like weird stuff that just didn't copy over, and a whole bunch of, if you ever ran Jetpack, any Jetpack type stuff in there as
mhm,
well, because it's being sourced from another, URL, and
right.
it's only pulling stuff from your domain, not from any of the external CDNs or anything like that that's being used. So it gets a little funky, but it
Sure.
worked out fine.
Yeah, but I mean, still, that Hugo is another open source content management system.
Mm-hmm.
Micro.blog is just a very nice front end, like put onto Hugo, but still, um, moving from one open source project to another, you really shouldn't lose this data. You really shouldn't end up, missing out on, you've put your content into WordPress, which is, an open source program. It's not locked down behind some obscure thing like Squarespace is, like Wix is, like
Mm-hmm.
any of these other website builders are. I don't know what GoDaddy is doing, but I've heard people talk about like GoDaddy Builder for stuff, and that's not to like ding GoDaddy for anything that they're doing, but you're putting your stuff into this lock system. You expect, okay, it might be a little harder to get things out. You're putting things into WordPress, and you feel like you should be able to move out, and if you want to. So having this thing that you're running into, where maybe if you decide to use the Jetpack CDN and stuff doesn't migrate over, if you decide to use other components, like having the short code there, like having the short code in the posts, like when you migrate stuff, like it should, one would imagine,
One would
uh
imagine.
yeah, that it would expand and grab all that stuff, because the short code is just telling WordPress like, hey, I need this little bit of code. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so don't be daft. like actually put the bit of code that's needed in there, put that little rendered bit in there. Um,
Yeah,
so
that makes me think like, is do you feel that it would be a better way to go about this in a like having that content in a rendered state already, like fully rendered out, like you're practically using, some kind of like browser front end, headless front end to like read it and then pass it over, and so you're actually
sure.
getting the HTML of it versus I don't even know how to explain this other than just to say these types of things, but just like instead of pulling it from the database itself or from whatever kind of rendering engines that happened within WordPress to finally get it to display on the page, but
Right.
rather having a browser emulator scrape it and then pump it back in. What do you think the difference between those two would be other than processing power?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, look, there are tools out there that
Like
will, and I mean,
Phantom or something like that.
wait,
Was it
what now?
Phantom? Isn't it
Oh,
Phantom? The,
sh-
like one of those types of like, browser emulators.
sure, sure. I mean, you could do that. You could, the thing that sprung to mind for me is those tools that actually make a static version of your website. So like WP2 number two static, a few of
Mm-hmm.
the other plugins out there. I mean, that is not embedding the shortcode. That is giving you like the raw HTML of it all. And
Yeah.
pulling down the things that you actually need. I kind of, and I put this into our little private chat, and we'll make sure it makes it into show notes. Like this came up, and the reason I proposed this topic is because I've just been thinking about it. Like um, WXR, the format, WordPress extendable RSS, I think is what it stands for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and WXR, the format, is something that they kind of there've been a few little minor tweaks to it over the years, but that is like what WordPress like exports when you ask it to give you an export of your site. But in a lot of cases, like you said, it doesn't. That's how you imported your stuff over into micro.blog, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, it gives the short code. It doesn't give the actual rendered HTML. It gives some things that where you're like, hey, we're 20 years into this as a project. Like the only
Mm-hmm.
place I should see a short code anymore. Well, you shouldn't be seeing short codes at all anymore. It's all just blocks. But the only place that you should see short codes is like in those classic editor posts that you haven't converted over.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's like the exporter has a an assumption that the data that's going to be ingested is going to be displayed the same way in which it was previously.
right.
Like the assumption is, it'll work when we get to the other place, it'll work. Where if you're moving it from one spot to another, like I lost. I was just thinking, I'm like, what did I lose when I had these short codes that were in there? I think at one point, you play around with stuff, right? You get on this whole
Of
little
course.
like, oh yeah, I want to do this thing. I had like a health kick for a little while, and I was like, oh yeah, I want to track all my stuff, and I had like a short code that was like displaying these things in it, kind of
Mhm.
like live journal back in the day of like what song were you listening to when you wrote your blog post, like that
Sure.
sort of thing. And so I
Sure.
did that, and I'm like, yeah, that's all gone. There's just a short code that says like, Jason short code underscore something something, because it's like it is what it is. I didn't care. But that's what's sitting in those blog posts now, probably is something like that, instead of the five or six, pieces of metadata that, that I was collecting painstakingly and then, just threw to the wayside as I imported the short code with no data in it.
Right. So I proposed this thing on the Fediverse. Like I made a post on my Mastodon instance about like, hey, if you were designing the WXR format today, like what would you have in there? Would it look completely different? I mean, things have been moving to JSON for quite some time. Like I don't RSS is really the big thing holding on to like XML. Like how would you design this today? I
Mm-hmm.
also another thing that I've looked at is there's this format called text bundle, which effectively is like a markdown file. Sorry, say you're not here to slag markdown. But it's effectively a markdown file with all of its like added components. So say you added like you're writing a note in markdown and you added a couple images and maybe like a PDF to like how you would in like Apple Notes or some other note
Mm-hmm.
taking app. So you like can make reference to it later, instead of giving you just a markdown file and then going like, oh, let's pull this image in later, let's pull this other thing. The text bundle would actually give you the media that you attached to that markdown file alongside the markdown. It seems like a really novel thing,
Yeah,
but
Ulysses does this as well as a couple others. Also, I was trying to think. I'm like, where did I hear this from? Oh yeah, that's what it was. It's all the markdown editors and all that stuff that we're
right.
just trying to figure out how to bundle everything together.
Bear Craft,
Yeah.
yeah, a few other Craft. Interestingly enough, if you haven't played with that note-taking app, Craft uses blocks to like lay your content out. So like it's
Hmm.
not like this is unheard of to
Right, right.
to do blocks and
I
everything
should just
else.
imported
Like
it to that. That's what I should have done.
right. Interestingly, on textbundle.org, it says that one of the apps that supports this is WordPress through the iOS and iPad OS like apps. So I would assume like moving stuff in, like if you shared a note from Bear or something like that. So some component of WordPress already understands text bundles.
Yeah.
Um, Having something, and I'm not saying like let's start exporting our posts into Markdown, but I know I don't know a ton of people who actually use the importer. And well, okay, they use the importer, but I don't know a lot of people who use the exporter to like migrate their site somewhere else. They end up
Mm,
falling back on a migration plugin. They end up falling back on something where they have a little more control. They can make sure that like their images that they've attached to the post make their way over, and normally that means a zip file that's a few hundred megs, or if you've had a site for long enough, like Tucker and I have had, a few gigs, a few dozen gigs, who knows?
yeah.
Like that's going to be one hell of a text bundle to move around. So, like, when I asked on the Fediverse, like, what should we do here? Like what should a modern import export format look like?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we're getting a little too dev branch here. We don't have a say here to like to
Shh.
rein us in and say that we're getting a little too nerdy with it. But um
We
it's
won't say anything.
yeah, okay, cool. Thank you. Um I really think that having something that is portable, that is a bundle like that, having something that the thing that I initially proposed was like, since it's no longer 2004, like we don't need XML anymore, like would you redo the entire, would WXR2, I mean, even though the R in there is for RSS, which is an XML thing, would this be JSON? Would this be
Mm.
like, what would it look like? There was a really interesting conversation. I kind of shared this around. I shared it in our Discord. I shared it over in the post status Slack. Sorry for cheating on our Discord. And had some people chiming in, like Ryan McHugh, who wrote and was writing an improved WordPress importer that like really kicked the crap out of the default WordPress importer that handled things a little more dynamically, that didn't run into like timeouts. If you have like a large
Mm.
WXR file, that importer, it's not very good. Like you basically have to like break out WPCLI. And I know, since we're not on dev branch, everybody that's watching right now is going, no,
Oh Lord.
WPCLI makes me uncomfortable.
Right.
So like you shouldn't have to break out the command line to get your site imported. And Ryan kind of speaking of running out of spoons, ran out of spoons to keep working on this project, because I mean it still works. Ryan's like importer plugin still works fairly well, and imports a lot of WXR files that I've seen that are maybe too beefy, whatever,
Mm.
for like a standard like web-based import. But one of the things that Ryan said, because let's see, who was it? Um, I'm looking at my thread here. Amanda Carson suggested that maybe we should like do JSON. And Ryan argued back, and I expect Ryan to know a lot about this and be able to give a cogent argument here. Ryan argued back that actually WordPress and just generally processing JSON is a lot more resource intensive than processing XML.
Huh.
For large scale data, XML is actually better than JSON, as PHP's tools for parsing streaming data are much better for XML than JSON. If anything, JSON would be less of a standard than the current WXR XML based format. So,
Interesting.
and yeah, and he linked, and I'll make sure this also makes it into the show notes, a make WordPress core blog post back from like 2015, so almost 10 years, 9 years old, about how like it's still, and things are still at this state where XML is just kind of a quicker, easier thing to import. But I really think that just given the state of things, given the problems, especially that you ran into, getting something that, it's like data portability, yay, let's liberate our data, turned
Right.
out to be a little bit of a pain in the ass to get your data out of.
Yeah, there's a lot of cleanup that happened. You know, there was some regex I had to come up with to to go
Right.
through and start cleaning some stuff up. And the other thing is that data is now being hosted someplace else that I don't have a WPCLI type, a CLI type thing to get in there and mess with it. So I would have to take that data, then in state process it, and then push it. So it's a
Hmm.
it's a bit different there. um but yeah, I'm still kind of hung up on the fact that this data that we're moving does not include video, it does not include audio, does not
Right.
include photos, does not include any of that stuff that's stored in a short code 100 years ago. It doesn't. There's a whole bunch of these things that are like missing out of it. Even if you put like inline JavaScript, is it grabbing the references to that JavaScript. Like there's a whole bunch of these like pieces that I don't know if it's picking up or not. And is it going to make it onto the other side? I don't know. We assume that everything is just, a blog post talking about what you're doing, what you're eating, what you're listening to. But there's plenty of other blog posts that are a little bit more data heavy that we may be missing some of that data.
Right. And see, one of the
So
things
it's
that
ActiveX components, man.
sure, sure. See, and this is the kind of big thing of it all. You and I are professionals.
Right.
We are okay with diving in there, like, getting elbows deep in a problem and either coding something up ourselves, or we know the right things to ask some sort of AI assistant to help us like code a solution uh,
Mm-hmm.
to get us to where we need to be. Um, like, but for the most part, we're doing all this stuff ourselves. Most people are not just doing this themselves. They're throwing their hands up and they're like, well, I guess I still am just going to use WordPress. And as far as the WordPress project is concerned, that's fine. They want you to keep using WordPress. But this is this sort of like lock-in that's happening, this attention that's not being paid to make sure that data liberation works both ways, um, is kind of another symptom, and it's a symptom of surprisingly in even open source projects. This happens of what my friend Cory Doctorow calls shitification. Like things are getting worse, like
Mm-hmm.
because WordPress now at almost half of the internet is an entrenched player, and being able to not take your data and make sure that you get the whole thing and move it over to a service like micro.blog, move it over to another one of these content management systems like Craft CMS or Kirby or something like that, and have to do all of this recovery and and munging of data and getting elbows deep on all this stuff is it's just not a good look, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Like,
true.
come on. We could and should be doing better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the things that we're doing, being able to let people have ways to freely move their stuff around, so they can have a Hugo phase, they can have a WordPress phase. Like, we need to not be locking people in to like giving them a way to move things easily into our system, and then it's like, well, you're here now, and
Right. Well,
if you
and think
don't
of all the
like it,
cruft. Yeah. And
yeah,
think of all the cruft you have to you end up picking up as you go from system to system. Because this data, this if you go to my first blog post, that first blog post is from LiveJournal. you
oh
know
wow,
yeah, and the posts before that, there's some other posts that are in there as well that were from movable type. They were from they were from all sorts of stuff. Like any of the early B2 stuff, that's in there
right,
too. There's
right.
some Mambo data that's in there. Like name the CMS, man. I've touched a lot of the old ones, and now this newer ones. I'm like, oh, maybe this data does need to go live in like Ghost for a minute. Let's see what happens.
Right. See, and that's the other big thing is like you've been migrating this stuff. Like I have taken a different approach when things like start to get too heavy for me and bloat out too much, like for um, you know, 10, 15 years. I was using jasoncosper.com. Previously, on the domain, what was it, onosendai.info, because William Gibson fan and everything else. Like, that's the only time I've ever moved anything. Everything else, um, I just go, okay, well, the life of this is over. I'm moving on to like the next domain, the next project, everything else.
Yeah.
And like, I never moved my old blog posts into my WordPress install. Half because a lot of those old posts, and gosh, my old live journal posts, super cringe.
Oh yeah, all this is super cringe, dude. And there's a lot of this where I was like, I'm hiding all of these. They
Right.
exist and they will be moved, but I'm just hiding them from the public. But yeah, the other thing I was thinking about regarding this is that's something that like just the normie folks that would have to deal with is this idea of WordPress building 15 versions of an image file, so that way it can customly put it in the correct spot, hopefully depending on how the theme is built and how it's being implemented. But which one of those is the one that gets moved?
Right.
Is it
It
is it
it
the
should
full?
it should be the full size.
Hopefully, you know. And
Mm.
is it the full size? Is it the WebP version of it that some image optimizer made? Is it I don't know, what is it, like what's being moved, and how do I deal with that when it gets moved to the next spot? Maybe the new system doesn't support WebP and it goes like, what the heck is this? Why
Right.
did you give me this? We haven't updated to that part yet. So there could be those types of things that crop up as well.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I am pretty sure it should, but again, I put air quotes around that should. It should, send the original image. I'm sure,
Yeah.
someone in the comments, someone on the Discord will chime in, if that's the case or not. But like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we should have a very, and no air quotes around this. We really, really fucking should have a way to verify that, like, the original image, the original metadata, because crap, we haven't even brought up fields yet. Like,
Or our favorite, post formats.
yes, absolutely.
If you're going to take a Tumblr and you're going to bring it into something else, there's some post formats that are involved. Who would have thought?
Yeah, especially if you're one of those rare weird folks who uses like the chat post format, or um, any of the other kind of like edge uh,
Mm-hmm.
ones that aren't like an audio post, an image post, a video post. Even those have their own little complications. Like, where is that video file hosted? Is it coming
Mm-hmm.
along? But
Did the company go out of business? That happened to me 3 times.
what?
R.I.P. Utters.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
It was sad.
So,
I have a lot
I
of
mean,
audio that didn't make it into some somebody's selling of their company or closing their company or whatever, and all of your data just poof disappears. It's like, oh, all right, cool.
and that's the big thing is, I mean, that classic saying of, the cloud, when you say you're putting something on the cloud, like, you just need to remember that the cloud is really just someone else's computer.
Mm-hmm.
um, and I know a big part of this whole data liberation push is to like put it on your computer. But honestly, and I'm saying this as somebody who works at a web hosting company, you're still paying someone else to, so like, unless you have a Raspberry Pi, or some sort of Linux box like sitting on your desk, you are
Mm-hmm.
paying to host this stuff on someone else's computer. And being able, like, yes, you own the domain, yes, you everything else, but like, you should be able, to move your stuff around. Like you need to be able to like get your content out of these sites, like when it's folding, when it's going under. Yeah. So
The bad part is with that is that, let's just say, for instance, this utters thing. The idea was that, you use their service to like record an audio file, and then the
mhm,
audio file gets stored on their side. Then they go and give you a link that you just put on your website, and it just
yep,
plops it in there. That's great until that company goes out of business. And so how
right,
are you supposed to be the one to go and grab that source data and then put it into your website? You have to go through all those posts and
mhm.
update all this stuff. Um, there's no
You
good way to do it,
you just
And this
you
is where I
just
was
made
going
me
back
think.
to the
You just made me
beginning is, how do you do this for like any of those other things that are embedded into your website? It almost sounds like you need to scrape it from the last part of this versus somewhere in the middle where you
right.
end up with a bunch of short codes or something.
Right. I mean, you just made me think. You brought up utters, and it's like rattling
I
around
know,
back
right?
there, a little familiar. And I'm going to drop one that maybe more folks in the audience are familiar with, but probably not. In the early days of Blogger, Audio Blogger or Odd Blogger,
Yes. Yes.
which was a Noah Glass project, and eventually got picked up by Odeo, which is the company that
Mm-hmm.
eventually turned into Twitter.
Twitter. Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, Oddblog like folded, and I remember making a bunch of little posts, and now like if I go back and look at the export that I did on Blogger of all my old Blogger posts that live on a domain that no one will ever find out about, because like I said, all those posts are pretty cringe. At
Right.
least those cringe audio posts don't live on.
Oh my
um
gosh. I have to
yeah,
show you an old YouTube video. I leave all that stuff out there, dude. I don't care.
right. No, the more I think about it, the more, yeah, this whole right to disappear thing that the EU has, or the right to be forgotten. I
Yeah.
think they're onto something.
They are onto something. Yep.
Yeah,
Now, can they actually get it to happen? That's the other thing. They just have
r-
to wait for like companies to go out of business, and then yes, you were forgotten. Good job.
right, right. Yeah, well, I know that in the UK, like Google has to get rid of it. Like if you're like an, or not, I'm sorry, not the UK, the EU.
Right.
So like in the EU, like if you make a right to be forgotten request to Google, to a few of those other places, like they have to take down the data that like corresponds to you, or they have to make
Mm-hmm.
like the best possible. I mean, we just got to wait for a state like, I mean, it's that's not happening in the United States, at least not yet. But if it does happen, it'll end up happening in a state probably like California, where,
Right.
yeah, where we have certain data protections, etc., that other parts of the country don't have.
Mm-hmm.
So
Could I
yeah,
bring up
man,
one more thing regarding you? You said Google, and it made me think about something. So
please.
Google has this process called Google Takeout. The idea is that you go
Yes.
and log into your interface, and you say, "Hey, I want to download my anything and everything that exists about my account," and let you download it. And then you can take that data and go to another Google account and import it back in. But the thing is like that data is pretty close to useless by
Right.
itself,
Right.
right? Like it's pretty close to useless by itself. Do you think that WordPress should have a Google takeout for that data as well, where it just says, because like we keep talking about just like the the root text data, this
Right.
like just this one text file that's going to have all these links to go to different places and whatnot. But that doesn't give you all the data. That just gives you just that text file. It's light, portable, easy to move around. But what about all of that stuff? And how do you do that? I mean, Twitter, we just went through this with Twitter. If you went to Twitter and you said, "Give me my download," you download this like blob,
Yep.
for lack of a better word, of just crap. None of
Yeah.
it actually talks to each other. There may be some HTML files that are referencing things, or who knows. I mean, I think I looked at it like once or twice, like way early on, but that data is pretty useless. Somebody can go and write a thing that would read it and then maybe import it into something. But what about that? What about this idea of doing some type of takeout of it so you get everything instead of having an
Right.
FTP in and grab, you know, certain copies of, the small, medium, large, and full size stuff. Like there has to be a way to parse through this because just because WordPress thought it was a good idea to make 9 versions of an image file, that you could at least get a smaller, slimmed down version that's like only the big files and nothing else.
Yeah, I think that and maybe this is going back a little bit to like text bundle,
Yeah.
having something that is effectively a takeout of your data that's in there. I think
Mm-hmm.
that having the things that correspond. I remember adding YouTube links used to have to be embedded in short code, stuff like that, and now it's just an O embed. As long as that YouTube link is still up, like the video will still be there. um,
Yeah.
like so having I think it would be an interesting experiment to have a tool that would pre-render the short codes, that would get rid of like all the styling data
Mm-hmm.
around, so it would just almost like a modified I mean, you'd have to use a couple components, but a modified um like WP to static type plugin that would output this is like the HTML for the page with the rendered shortcode bits in there, with this,
Mm-hmm.
with the appropriate images, etc. Make a takeout. I would argue go one step further. But again, this is getting into like you'd have to run like a command line script or whatever. But having a takeout that ran a program like YTDLP and grabbed
All the
those
YouTube
yeah,
videos.
all the YouTube video. I mean, that runs on so many other
Oh my
things that it's
gosh.
not even funny.
Yeah.
It would have grabbed conceivably those utters posts. It would have grabbed so like any referenced data, like
Mm-hmm.
grab me. Um, I I don't have the energy. I don't have to make this project, but I definitely think that it would be an interesting thing to have a way to actually get a proper like full export
Yeah.
of the stuff on your site.
It's
Yeah,
it's like it's like a reverse movable type is pretty much what it is, because you're instead of taking a bunch of text and then turning it into HTML with markdown and all that fun stuff and having it process it, you're reverse processing it to get it back to a spot that you could then make it portable. And I'd hate to move that truck around, but it's going to
right.
be a lot of stuff that's going to be in there. But yeah, you would essentially have a snapshot of your entire existence in that blog post, or in those blog posts on that website.
Right. I if anyone were to do this project, I absolutely would want to use your site as one of the test instances, because I'm sure that the number of things that have been thrown in there over the
Oh
years, the
gosh,
number of
yeah,
stuff you have to account for, would probably cover most scenarios.
yeah,
A lot of folks, eh, maybe maybe a 100 200 blog posts, like if that. Most folks it's maybe a dozen, but I mean, just everything you've done over the past, how I mean, you're going back to live journal, to movable type, to b2, like yeah, it's going to be a lot of stuff in there.
yeah. I think so. Feels like it would be a lot of stuff.
See, say didn't join us today. I'm sad that she's not here. But I was concerned. I was like, how are we going to manage to fill half an hour? And look at us, we're 15 minutes over.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
So I mean, this is a topic that has a lot of legs to, like, I feel like we could just keep going, but I value your time, I value my time, and I value our listeners and viewers' time. So Tucker, how about you hit that outro button?
I shall hit the outro button as soon as I find it. Speaking of that outro button, I have pressed it, and this is the music that plays during that outro. You can go over to our website at WPwatercooler.com/subscribe and subscribe to all the shows that we have going on over there. Plenty of things happening over there, and I'm hoping that you will enjoy the content that we put out. Thank you very much. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.